Hello, horse lovers. You'll have to forgive me if my voice is a bit rough today. I'm getting over a cold. I might cough off and on. But I really didn't want to wait any longer to get some videos out. And I wanted to get this one done in particular because I wanted to do a tribute to a great racehorse, Silver Charm. He's technically turning 32 in February. But because all thoroughbreds are given the official birthday of January 1st, he's already 32. And at that age, no one knows how much longer he's going to be with us. And I think it's great that he's still around. He's actually the oldest horse alive to have won any of the Triple Crown races, the Kentucky Derby, the Preakness, and the Belmont. He won the Derby and the Preakness, came in second in the Belmont, very, very close second, but I'll talk more about his races shortly. Silver Charm is now pretty much the mascot for Old Friends Farm, which is a retirement sanctuary for thoroughbred racehorses, and the only thoroughbred retirement center that routinely will accept a stallion. Stallions have a bad reputation, but Old Friends says, you know what? Stallions need a good home too. We'll take them. So let's get started with Silver Charm's story. Silver Charm traded hands quite a bit as a young colt. One owner after another thought, nah, not quite for me, and he finally, as a 2-year-old, was sold to Bob Baffert. Now, Bob Baffert is a trainer, and he didn't really want to own Silver Charm, but he knew Beverly and Bob Lewis, and they said, yeah, we'll take this horse. Now, the two of them even had their doubts about what kind of horse Silver Charm was going to be if he was for them. There were a couple of problems with Silver Charm. For one thing, he's what's known as a bleeder. Now, if that sounds horrible, it's because it is. You see, when a racehorse is running, when any animal is running, their heartbeat increases to help the blood carry the oxygen where it needs to go. Well, in Silver Charm's case, his heart rate increased so much and the blood flowed so fast that it actually caused his lungs to bleed, and sometimes the blood would even come out his nose. Not a good thing in a racehorse. In fact, really, you would think that this horse should have just been retired right off to live a comfortable life. Unfortunately, in the racing industry, it's all about the money, and that was not going to happen. He was treated with Lasix, and that stopped the bleeding enough for him to be able to compete. Now, one word about thoroughbreds with that. Thoroughbreds love to compete. Yes, they absolutely understand if they've won or lost. There have been many cases of racehorses who will throw a temper tantrum if they lose. The Great Secretariat was one of these. So, yes, they're highly competitive, love what they do. But if a human athlete started to bleed when they ran, most people would tell them, don't do this anymore. But horses don't have that luck. His owners did what they could as far as taking care of him while still racing him. And Bob Baffert especially really liked this horse. Now, Beverly and Bob Lewis thought about selling Silver Charm at one point, and Bob Baffert told Charm's exercise rider, make him look bad for prospective buyers. And he did. He'd be like, yeah, I don't know. This horse just doesn't have what it takes. I mean, I don't know what's the matter with him. So people passed up on buying him. And it's lucky for the Lewises that they did. Silver Charm's first major win was the Del Mar Futurity, which was a pretty big race. And then, of course, well, no, that was just a 2-year-old. Then, of course, came his 3-year-old season. And the highlight of any 3-year-old horse's racing season is the Kentucky Derby. And Silver Charm did what everyone hoped he would do then. And like I said, I didn't get to say that yet. Silver Charm was the first Kentucky Derby winner that I ever paid attention to, the first Derby winner I ever cheered on. At that time, I didn't know anything about bloodlines or what to look for in a horse, how to pick a winner. I still can't normally pick a winning racehorse. I just know I happen to like this particular horse. And that was the case with Silver Charm. I thought he was the best looking horse on the track that day. I also liked his name. And so I thought, I'm going to cheer for him. And he came through.
Treehouse gets the lead. Silver Charm on the outside, open at the rail, back to third, and here comes the captain, and down the stretch they come. Silver Charm to the front, on the inside, Treehouse on the outside, Captain Bodgett. It's Captain Bodgett on the outside, Silver Charm at the rail, those two to the wire. Here's the finish. Silver Charm by a neck with Gary Stevens. Captain.
Different racehorses have different running styles. Some, like the famous Zenyatta, like to stay to the way back and then win at the last second. Others, like Secretariat, like to win by a lot, as evidenced by his Belmont Stakes win when he won by 31 lengths. Silver Charm's style was, I'm going to win, but not by too much. I'm going to add to the suspense. And that was the case with his Preakness win. It was a photo finish. For a few tense moments, nobody was sure who won. But in the end, Silver Charm took the second jewel of the Triple Crown.
As they straighten away in the lane in the Preakness. Treehouse in front. Silver Charm on the outside, coming on to challenge. Touch gold at the rail, and down the stretch they come in the Preakness. On the inside, Treehouse. On the outside, Silver Charm. Noses apart. 50 yards to go. Treehouse and Silver Charm. Captain Bodgett is flying. Photo finish. Was it Silver Charm on the outside? Was it Treehouse on the rail? Neither jockey raising their arm in victory. It's a photo finish.
Now, as horse racing fans know, there are 3 races that make up the Triple Crown: the Kentucky Derby, the Preakness Stakes, and the Belmont Stakes. Now, Silver Charm had just won 2 of those 3 Triple Crown jewels, and every thoroughbred owner's dream is to win all 3. But he came up short in the Belmont by 3/4 of a length. Like I said, he didn't win by a lot in any of his races. I don't know if he just didn't see why he had to win by more, if he thought he was good enough to win on just that little bit. It's hard to know in the mind of a horse. It might have been that the jockey just didn't encourage him to make a move soon enough. Could have been track conditions. There were a lot of factors at play that day. But sadly, in the end, we wouldn't get to see a Triple Crown winner that year.
And he moves to the outside for the drive in the Belmont. Straightening away in the lane, Silver Charm and Treehouse. They're at it again. Silver Charm under whip with Stevens on the inside. Treehouse on the outside. And Touch Gold is third. And down the stretch they come. 3 of them in a line. Silver Charm at the rail. Touch Gold on the outside. Touch Gold puts ahead in front. 50 yards to go. Touch Gold. Touch Gold wins it by half a length. Denying Silver Charm will finish second his Triple Crown.
A lot of people were frustrated he didn't win because everybody loves to see a Triple Crown winner. But he did make one heck of a comeback. As a 4-year-old, he was invited to compete in the Dubai World Cup. The horse that wins that is declared the horse of the world. They are the best of the best, and like I said, the Dubai is an invitational race. So Silver Charm was invited to compete, and it's joked that a lot of horses don't like to travel, and they will get so stressed out. A lot of horses traveling to the Dubai World Cup will lose weight. Silver Charm is such a relaxed boy. He actually put on 30 pounds, which is highly unusual for a horse traveling like that, but he is a very chillax kind of horse. Now, he won the Dubai World Cup, but after that, his career started to slow down, and he was retired at the age of 5, and they decided, let's send him to Three Chimneys Farm to breed some foals. Now, that is super cool because Three Chimneys Farm also had Seattle Slew standing as stud there at the time. Seattle Slew was, of course, a Triple Crown winner himself, and their stalls were directly across the aisle from each other. I like to imagine them exchanging race stories. If they were human, maybe Seattle Slew would have kidded him, like, oh, you couldn't quite hack the Belmont, huh? It's just fun to think about horses having that kind of talk. I don't know, maybe that's just me, but. Well, after a while, Silver Charm was sent to Japan to breed some horses there. Now, I can't talk about that without talking about something very sad. There's another great horse who was a Derby winner, and his name was Ferdinand. Very sweet-natured horse, always gave his all in a race. Very well loved by everyone who handled him. But his foals just didn't do all that well. And Japan had a reputation, or at least they developed a reputation after this, that if a horse wasn't producing winning foals, wasn't getting the money, well, the practical thing to do was sell them, and that included selling them for slaughter. And that's what happened to Ferdinand. The people who had owned him eventually checked into, hey, haven't heard anything in a while, how's Ferdinand doing? But by the time they checked, it was too late for him. But as sickening and tragic as Ferdinand's death was, he probably saved lives, because after that, American horse owners sending their horses to Japan to be studs had it written into the contract, okay, you don't want my stallion anymore, he comes back home. And it's written into the contract almost in every case these days. And Silver Charm's owners made sure that was in his contract. Well, he fathered a few foals in Japan, and his time there was up, and he was sent back home, but there wasn't really anything for him to do with his current owners anymore. That's where Old Friend's Farm comes into play. He was sent there, one of the amazing, incredible things about Old Friends is that they are one of the only thoroughbred retirement places around that will take a stallion. Silver Charm lives happily there to this day, and he is a star attraction. I recently came across the video of him there, and you could tell he's loving life there. He knows he's the star of the show. I'm going to include the link so you can watch this whole video. And it's funny because he has a habit of sticking his tongue out when he wins a game he plays with one of his caretakers there. And you could tell in this moment when he comes on screen, he's like, hey, I'm the star, focus on me, not on the human. He has a lot of personality, and it's wonderful to see he's living the best life.
Check into Silver Charm. Now, so he'll probably not earn as much as he earned on the track, which was over $6.5 million, but he certainly attracted a lot of attention, and he certainly was the living thing most responsible for putting Old Friends really on the map.
As I'm recording this, my cat Sage is demanding I lean down and pet her. Why don't you jump up? Huh? Is that too much to ask? I love the way Silver Charm is like, camera on me, people. I know I'm the star, not this guy. He has so much personality, and, his coat, he looks so different now than when he was racing. His gray coat's lightened to almost white, but he's still clearly happy, still loving what he does, still just living life. And I wish that every thoroughbred could have a happy ending to their story like this. So many thoroughbreds end up thrown away when their racing career is over. If they're lucky, if they're really good or have good bloodlines, they get to be breeders. Sometimes they end up sold to people who retrain them as jumpers or eventers or just plain family horses, but far too many are not that lucky. Silver Charm did great on the racetrack, there's no question about that. But I think his most important legacy is attracting people to old friends, saying, hey, look at what a life a retired thoroughbred can have, and let's work to give all thoroughbreds that kind of life. He really is an ambassador for his breed. And thoroughbreds are such incredible horses. There's so much to say about them, and I intend to talk about thoroughbreds a lot more in coming videos. So I hope you liked my tribute to Silver Charm, and if you're ever in Georgetown, Kentucky, look up Old Friends and go visit him. He loves visitors, he loves getting carrots. I've never had the pleasure, I wish I could, but right now it's not a good time for me to be traveling. But it's amazing to think, like I said, of what a life that a retired thoroughbred can have. So, technically, happy birthday to Silver Charm. Hope he has at least a few more in him. He's a good old boy. And to all of my viewers, keep horses in your life.